Germany votes for historic boost to defense spending. Oh boy, are the Prussians back? Because I think that's clearly been the case. Just look at this chart. Oh my goodness. Here go the Germans once again exploding past all of Europe in, well, military things, I guess. Because as you can see, Germany was at the bottom, and then I guess we're going to see them skyrocket past Russia, the UK, and India. All right, I guess that Prussian spirit is back. In more ways than one, they're also in plushie form, along with the Kingdom of France and some pins. Poland's here. We got an all-new store over at makeshift.com. You can see what is the live plushies currently being sold, as well as you can vote on which plushies you'd like to bring back. I mean, you can bring back any of them. It's been going on for like 4 years, so the list gets pretty long. But yeah, there's only limited time left, and there's already 1,000 different Prussians being revived from the afterlife. One, proof 2025 is non-credible AF. France and Poland want Germany to rearm. We're definitely living in strange times when Germany's neighbors want them to rebuild their military.
Thank you for applying to join PIGS. We're looking to expand. Tell us, why should we accept you in our group?
Well, I'm a Southern European too. That should be enough.
Very low unemployment rate, very low debt. Sorry, we're looking for someone else.
Well, I speak Greece, says Cyprus.
Too many jerks. Next.
I'm a Mediterranean nation with amazing cuisine and so much more. I'm not in the group yet, but it's your lucky day. Pigs will reign supreme with me as their leader, says France.
Too arrogant. Next.
I'm a European nation with also the biggest army in the Mediterranean. Also, I never eat pigs.
Wrong building.
I was already a former pigs nation, says Ireland. Plus, I hear you don't like berry.
Too wealthy. Next.
Oi, the guns make fun of me. I have a rock below Spain and some marbles in a museum.
Horrible cuisine. Next.
I just want friends, says Belgium. Everyone ignores me as I'm an irrelevant country.
We said next. Who is next?
The Adventures of the Pigs Nations, or that acronym, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain. There you go. 4 Mediterranean countries. They interviewed Malta, but they're just too well off. Cyprus is in a messy situation. France is, I guess, too arrogant. Turkey maybe would have been good. Ireland, I don't know how they got up all the way to the Irish. UK is probably not acceptable, and then Belgium, yeah, no. If Ireland elects the MMA wanker, they will be back. Oh, that's right. Isn't Conor McGregor supposed to run for president there? Romania, I'm a poor Latin country. Pigs, not bad, but we already have Portugal. We don't need other Eastern Europeans. If you add us and Norway, you can get Pingus, Newt, MFers. It'd probably be like someone in the Baltics, Albania, or Croatia. Probably Croatia. Alabama inbreds, along with the Mississippi inbreds. Laughing at New York and California being the least literate states in the U.S. It's definitely one of those memes that feels like a very personal attack. Not only am I from Alabama, but I've also been living in California my whole life, so I guess that makes me an illiterate inbred. It's because the Mississippians and Alabamans kept the best genes to themselves. There's also a certain royal family in Austria that would agree with that. What's funny is if you actually look at the list, the top states are Massachusetts and Wyoming. Would have expected those two. Oh no, not another morning routine video. Oh, I've already seen so many of these. Funny story, I was on a cruise for a couple days and I had no internet access, so when I came back, all I saw were these weird memes completely out of context. All of a sudden everyone was talking about buying bananas and dunking their face in ice water. It's literally like, what the frick is actually going on? I didn't understand anything for a couple hours there. But this guy clearly has the most insane morning routine ever, in which he levitates in the air for 4 minutes apparently. I don't really know what happened with that. This girl at 4 a.m. though, she's got the ice face wash, but the problem is that she also happens to be a knight which requires a full suit of armor. I didn't realize knights have to wake up that early. Even knights have to be on a Sigma grind set though. Not very fun though. It's obviously, as you can tell, oh, that's multiple ice face washes, but getting to the battle, that's probably the toughest of them all. Right, I wasn't actually expecting that bit at the end there. This just really makes me want to invest in a full suit of armor. Like, why don't I already have that? Why doesn't this guy actually have that? He seems like he would. How much would that cost? I mean, all things considered, like 800 bucks isn't that bad. There's no way it's that high quality though, right? Not bad. Not bad. I'm tempted, to be honest. Wow, I have so many eggs. Damn it, what am I gonna do with all these eggs? I'm literally drowning in them. Won't somebody please take some of these eggs, says the EU. So anyways, they said no. Talk about excellent trolling. Thank you, Frank. I already know he put a sound effect there. He can't put one on me anymore. The egg jokes, though, just will not stop, apparently. My editor Frank gotta edit these videos just so he can afford an egg. One single egg. 225 euros for 10 eggs in Amsterdam? Wow. People are literally flocking to raise chickens now in the US because of the egg prices. That's how rough it's getting out here. I'm about to buy a chicken or two. Because at this rate, a carton of eggs is going to cost more than a Tesla soon. But that's partially just because a used Tesla is going to be like $1,000 soon. Countries that successfully landed on different objects in the solar system, and there is one not quite like all the others. The EU visiting Titan first. This is literally a moon on Saturn, which is way further away than all these other objects. Obviously, the Soviets really loved Venus. Everyone loves the moon, including India, the US, and China, and only 3 places making it to Mars. But man, Europeans, this is impressive. Happened all the way back in 2005, and it was the first probe in the outer solar system, so beyond the asteroid belt, waiting for Europe to now land on Europe, or as we call it, Europa. Destiny calls. You have to do it now, because just the name is and everything. Trump proclaiming his love for King Charles and randomly wanting to join the Commonwealth. Talk about Uno reverse carding the entire American Revolution. Let's just push the rewind button on that whole thing. Did he really? Trump suggests US could join British Commonwealth if offered by the king. Now's your chance, Brits. It's time to take us back. We've been waiting for this deal for like 250 years now. That would be actually really hilarious though if we just willfully rejoin the British Empire. Just act like nothing ever happened this whole time. Meanwhile, at the very same time, during that time, Spain and Portugal splitting the world without anyone knowing. This is the Treaty of Tordesillas back in 1494. Spain and Portugal literally were just dancing all over the world, I guess, because they basically claimed to own all of this. And again, they didn't ask anybody. They were just like, yeah, this is now ours, just us two. Is your country a legitimate possession of Spain or Portugal? Technically for the US, we're supposed to be under Spain, so sorry, UK. Trump should technically be making comments to this monarch instead from the Iberian Peninsula. The EU aims to poach American scientists. Netherlands launches funds to lure the top US scientists. Call it Operation Reverse Paperclip. Now that would be a masterpiece. The first Operation Paperclip happened in the 1930s and 40s when the US was taking German scientists after World War II. Now get ready for the sequel of that, where the EU in 2025 takes US scientists, these European countries by 2035. Kaboom! Yes, Rico, kaboom. Yes, because in the first Operation Paperclip, a lot of those German scientists did help us with the Manhattan Project, which ended up leading to the first nuclear weapon. Right now, only France and the UK have nuclear weapons. UK isn't even in the EU, so maybe all the EU members are going to have nukes next with this new Operation Reverse Paperclip. Actually, I bet the Manhattan Project 2 is just building of a Death Star. The Americans in my group chat are calling this Jello. Please help me. Do non-Americans call it me mum's wiggling bum or something? Jello is a perfectly normal name. I mean, it is pretty jelly. But I don't think it does, in fact, sound as good as my mom's wiggling bum. That sounds delightful. Scrumptious, in fact. Quick and easy dinner today. What in God's name is that? Mexican food would hit the Nordics like smallpox hit the natives. All right, let's... Can you not? But I do agree. I think that, well, it would hit them maybe a little bit too hard, actually. That's probably why they can't have Mexican food up there. No, but actually what's funny is I'm pretty sure Norway is one of the #1 consumer of tacos. They love tacos up there. Some studies have them as the world's #2 top taco consumer. Almost 10% of the entire population consume tacos every Friday. What? Now, to be fair, these are really like, these are white people tacos. Let's be real. But whatever works. I mean, you know what? That actually doesn't look that bad. That looks pretty good. It's possible you can eat both. Remember that, you know, Norway is obviously a Nordic country. You might be surprised to know this, but after Mexico, Norway is the country that eats the most tacos per capita. Don't get fooled by this guy. This is how British people actually cook. I forget that possibly the top cook in the entire world, definitely one of the most famous, he is British. Well, I mean, it's hard to forget that he obviously is British, but then, you know, you compare that to the memes and British food, it's like, wait, what? Big difference between media and reality. Okay, I would actually like to make a defense for the Brits on this one. People always talk about them eating beans on toast, but here in the southern US, we sometimes eat beans and cornbread. When picking an unappealing British food, pick something actually bad, like jellied eels. Yeah, because I can tell you right now, even the worst looking English breakfast is still going to look better than this. You can't drive Teslas because it was created by a Nazi. Meanwhile, VW drivers. Now that we're on that subject, they've literally been getting away with this for decades, almost 100 years in fact. Like, if there's any car company that was created by no Germans, I'll tell you right now, it actually wasn't Tesla. There's definitely a better contender for that statement. Like, there's like a direct link. Oh boy, and let's not get started on Henry Ford, by the way. Also, Fanta lovers. I think a lot of people are underestimating just how many things there still are today that was actually created by these types of Germans. The Confederacy of the USA versus South India. Oh, this should be good. Both are hot AF. One has delicious collard greens and fried chicken. The other has delicious similar food. Kind of. Both xenophobic towards the north. Both full of churches/temples. We're gonna skip that one. Speaks a weird language. Finally, hot chicks. Wow, I didn't realize. You know, there's that story how a lot of Confederates in the south of the U.S. moved to Brazil after they lost the war. Probably should have moved to South India. Places go hand in hand. I would have never expected that. Hot chicks? Okay. Put the hot chicks in the room with us right now. The Virgin Mount Fuji versus the Chad Mount Rainier. Mount Fuji is only 12,000 feet. Rain shadow is negated by ocean, also very weathered and kind of boring shape, blah. Versus in Washington, Mount Rainier is 14,000 feet, known to be one of the best by true mountain fans. It is, in fact, a whole lot less smooth than Mount Fuji. Single-handedly cucks Eastern Washington out of any rain. And as I said, yes, it is girthy. They're also very comparable because they're iconic to two very local cities. It's hard to think of Tokyo, Japan without Mount Fuji, but it's also hard to think of Seattle without Mount Rainier, which actually I have a funny story about that. I only recently visited Seattle for the first time like 2 years ago. I forgot that on a clear day there is a massive freaking volcano mountain that you can see from the city. I was just like, holy crap, what the heck is that? I went to Japan in late October, early November of last year, and it didn't even have snow on it. We also used to have Mount St. Helens, but yeah, it just doesn't really exist like it used to out there in Washington. This boy had his head chopped off because the council said it was offensive. Do you agree? Wait, what happened? Why is the UK doing France strategies now? They're not typically known for chopping heads off, but they will do it apparently. Remind me not to paint my face over in the UK. And an accurate depiction of the Union Jack is considered an insult to the king and country, and therefore act of treason, of which the only suitable punishment is a beheading. I'm more concerned with the process than result. Isn't decapitating people what the French do? Censored. I'd be careful even posting these images online. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to be allowed to come back to London by showing this off. I'll probably have to spend 23 days in jail because I'm spreading misinformation. Receives wrong copper, angrily chisels a note for 6 hours. This is definitely a lost detail to the very hilarious complaint about a delivery of the wrong copper grade, the old Babylonian text. Obviously, this has been a meme for quite some time, but I think people forget that, yes, it is funny that he made this massive tablet just because it's basically a 1-star review, the first one that was made thousands of years ago. But remember back in those days, to make a 1-star review, it took you like 6 hours. You gotta handcraft it as well. Still, I don't think humanity has achieved this level of spite just yet. This guy went down in the history books. Imagine being so mad at an Amazon product that you chisel a note for 6 hours and 3,000 years from now, people are still remembering how bad your shit is. Finally, it's the first ever engine. Imagine the potential if this technology industrialized. Anyways, shawarma! Get your shawarma. This is a joke making fun of the fact that apparently in Turkey they made the first engine, but it was only really just for food, which is understandable. I get it. Or sorry, it was used for spinning donor for Allah's sake. I'm sorry, I don't live in Berlin. I'm not familiar with Turkish culture. But yeah, very good point. Remember, Turkey at this time was under the Ottoman Empire, and they weren't necessarily doing the greatest at that time. It's hard to imagine a world where it's the Ottoman Empire that's the first industrialized nation. But who knows? I mean, they did, after all, have a 200-year head start over everybody else. Theodore Roosevelt actually predicting that Russia would fall to the revolution and be the US's primary enemy way back in 1897. Yeah, you could definitely say we weren't ready for that just yet, but man, were our kids gonna love it. 1897. I would like to remind everyone that, remember, for the most part, the US and Russia were cool up until like 1945. It was like almost a full 50 years earlier than that. Remember that Theodore Roosevelt helped to get peace between the Japanese and Russians during the Russo-Japanese War. Crazy though, he was able to predict this all before the World Wars even took place. Chiang Kai-shek captured and about to be executed by the communists. But oh wait, who's this? His savior? General Secretary Joseph Stalin. Oh, hold up. Come again? Because it happened in 1936, it all comes down to the threat of the Japanese. Stalin didn't want an even more divided China because, well, Japan at that time was looking awfully scary for both the Soviet Union and the Chinese. They were kind of working together. We just talked about the Russo-Japanese War. The Russians just took a pretty big L. They didn't want to take another one to the Japanese. The US wants to send a ship to Havana. We accept in order to defuse the situation. It blows up. Wait, it blows up, says Spain? Oh, the start of the Spanish-American War. Again, as I've joked around before, it all comes down to our boat boats. Don't mess with U.S. boats, even if you don't mess with U.S. boats, and we actually just blew it up ourselves and blame it on you. She didn't know this was the Seine. Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain. Imagine the horror on whoever was Spain's head of state when they heard the USS Maine exploded and they want war. Let's blame the Maine on Spain. And this is how the U.S. got Puerto Rico and then Cuba and the Philippines. They also put the nail in the coffin of the Spanish Empire. Polish idioms be like, oh, what is this? This is Courvois will not rip off head of Courvois. Also another, you ask Boar if he poops in the woods. Flies are pooping, spring is coming. Finally, grandma's pooping has ended. Grandma's pooping has ended. Oh my god, Poland, I've got so many questions about these. Meanwhile, in the West, we just say things like every cloud has a silver lining and in the eye of the beholder, once in a blue moon, also elephant in the room. These definitely don't hit the same, I have to admit. Okay, I need to start learning Polish. Clearly, that's the answer here. I don't even need an explanation for all these. I'm not obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I'm not obsessed. Oh, that is the Soviet Union who is seething about something award. That he has that award. Thinking about the Baltics. Yes, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. They definitely want this. Well, the Russian Empire had it. The Soviet Union took it back. Then the Soviets collapsed. Now the Russians want the Baltic region. They want to exert their strategic control over the Baltic Sea, of course. Also to be able to connect their territory to Kaliningrad would be nice for them. But with the Baltics in NATO, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Speaking of the Baltics, this is basically probably the state that's most equivalent to the Baltics. Can we all just take a moment to laugh at the Delaware County map? They only got 3. I still don't know why Delaware is a state. They kind of just got grandfathered in. Well, yeah, that's an obvious statement there, Drew. All the 13 original colonies got grandfathered in as states. But you got Sussex, Georgetown, Kent, Dover, and then Newcastle. Literally just all names they ripped off from the UK. I don't know why Delaware's a state, but whatever. I'm just mad that there's nothing. I just need a meme. I need like a single meme to tell me what Delaware is all about so I can know what to say when I see them. I'm like 80% sure every time I look at a map, Maryland takes over a couple square miles and makes Delaware even smaller. I mean, why not? Maryland, just take it, please. Just take it by force or by peace. I don't get this state. I really don't. There is over 1 million people that live there, which admittedly is pretty nice. That's a pretty good size compared to some other states. But Speed has just recently announced that he is going to China. Well, not just China, Mongolia, as well as Hong Kong as well. But I mean, he dropped signs that well, he was trying to boost up his social credit score a long time ago. I remember that. He heard that theme once, and he knew how much that was slapping. So, which I don't even like. Wait, what was he looking at here? All those Imperial Japanese flags. It does hit. I agree with it. I gotta say. It's definitely something. Why the frick y'all say Italy looks like a boot? It'd be so long, like, what? Why would they ever think this? I'm supposed to obviously tie my shoes near, like, the, I was literally gonna say where the foot is because, man, I can't do this meme. Obviously, Sicily is where I put my foot in. It's just so long, bruh. Like, what the frick? I gotta have, like, elf feet to be able to fit. This doesn't make any sense. Italy doesn't really look like a boot to me. Although there are definitely some cultures that maybe could make it seem more doable. Wait, why is this everywhere? Okay, I didn't even know I could buy boots like this. Maybe I need to get a hold of these. I guess it is a boot. You idiot! You were supposed to use the right boot, not the left one. You've turned the map upside down. Since when do Americans know where Italy is? Austrians from 1408 to 1806. I am proud of my German heritage and I am the emperor of all of German states. Here he is with the Holy Roman Empire flag. Yes, that makes a whole lot of sense, Austria. Then there's the Austrians after gaining their independence in 1955. No, Austria isn't German. The Austrians caused 2 world wars, and then now they're like, oh yeah, we're definitely not German. You role-played as Germans for like 500 years there. After the Second World War, y'all was making sure, gotta make sure you separate them. We're not German. No. We might speak it, but that's different. This is kind of a funny point, an interesting rebrand. I mean, Austria is so German that no one batted an eye when the skinny mustache man just Auschlitzed Austria. Well, no one batted an eye. Almost nobody like protested it. It was just like, that makes sense. Denying being German was literally their get-out-of-jail-free card after World War II, and it worked so well. I mean, the joke's kind of on us. They were German for, like I said, 500 years there, and then all of a sudden they're not German anymore, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, you're not German, it's cool. I still laugh randomly when I think about how they just kind of got away with that whole thing. Expectations on the German Autobahn versus in reality. Yeah, there definitely are speed limits on the Autobahn. I'm going to tell you that many times. There's plenty of places where you need to be a lot more careful. The Autobahn, or their freeway system, is famous for, at least specifically in America, for apparently not having speed limits, and there's parts that don't, but there's a ton of places that do. Maybe this is where the confusion lies, though. Enter the USSR, or former Eastern Germany. Autobahn is brand new, not another car in sight for dozens of kilometers, casually driving 240 kilometers an hour on average with your Fiat 500. Think of the past, though, now. Meanwhile, in Brussels, Jan, hey, we're building an army, so I need money, says the European Union to the Netherlands. Oh, of course. Great idea, and all you need is more money, right? Let me just get my wallet. Proceeds to sprint away. Okay, now you're being a little dramatic there. They're still running, and of course, they're running right next to their windmills. Where are their little flowers they have? They don't want to pay. In fact, they're gonna Venmo charge you to make sure you pay them back. What's that thing called? A tiki? They say that the Dutch will, going Dutch. That's where that phrase goes. Grandpa would always say that. We're gonna go Dutch today when at a restaurant, meaning everyone's gonna pay for themselves. And that still rings true today. And see, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, I've never even experienced this before, but I've just seen so many things about it on the internet. It's cemented into my mind. Meanwhile, Lockheed Martin and Boeing, two American aviation companies, or, well, they're both in defense, but Lockheed Martin, well, things are not going the same. What is that? Boeing stocks back up? Well, it fell quite a bit. I don't know if this really even counts, because they've been dealing with a lot of problems, but Lockheed Martin. The other issue is that European defense companies are now exploding, so Lockheed Martin just looks really weak right now. How bad is it actually, though? Let me check. Okay, it's been pretty much down since 2024. Overall, though, still pretty high up. Meanwhile, actually, Boeing stock looks way worse. What the hell does this mean? That's what I'm saying. Why not throw the European defense companies? They've been exploding. Maybe I shouldn't say anything about this. This is how I randomly go missing in a couple days. I leaked the most classified info, says War Thunder. No, I leaked the most classified info, says Minecraft. Amateurs, someone says off screen. What was that? Punk amateurs, says the Department of Defense. No one leaks more information in the US more than the Department of Defense. Would you think that doesn't make much sense? And you'd be right. It doesn't make any sense. They're the best leakers on themselves. I did not realize that Minecraft was also leaking classified documents too, though. Now, modern operators using NODs on night missions. Oh, night vision goggles, something like that. Meanwhile, Grandpa in a pitch black Viet Cong tunnel guided nothing but the voices. I still think about this all. This is like the first thing my mind comes to when it comes to the Vietnam War. Like how there were certain people that were forced down into those tunnels to find the Viet Cong, and they certainly did not have any of the technology even close that we have today. They talk about how they could smell their breath, the enemy's breath. That this guy wasn't even just using the voices, but also his nose. Great Grandpa maintaining perfect hygiene so he can follow the... See, there's a smell aspect to it too. Just don't ask Grandpa about his PTSD. Germany forges €1 trillion defense and infrastructure pack. We'll see, but yeah, this is a German tank that's currently being... yeah, this is a very different Germany that might be formed up. Although, technically, the World War II Germans did have French territory and Polish territory. But, yeah, a Germany fueled by their neighbors. That would be very interesting. And big thanks to the people who donate to me on Patreon. I'm Drew, and I identify as an Alabamian supremacist. We're coming for you, Mississippi. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund. Rip Grandpa. Alexander the Terrible. aPhatNarwhal. Carmel S. Connor Pavlik. Fredrik Tibblin. KingBearHaze. KirinoIsBestGirl. LuxembourgLover. The Nolan. If you'd like your name here, go check out that link to Patreon down below.